odd things that people don't get sometimes is that we look for people that want to be found. We don't look for fugitives.
Well, I would actually, I would counter that with, we had been on many missions that as the intel developed, interviewing families and such, I think I can count a fair number of them where I'm pretty sure those people were hiding from us, that they did not want to be found. I think especially when you get into some of the ones that you were talking about where there's substance abuse, there's a tough call where you can be out there and everybody's out there in their orange search and rescue shirts, and they're afraid they're in trouble, so they're trying to avoid you. I think that we've worked a fair number of those.
Well, we get a lot of people evading us, but when I say doesn't want to be found, it's somebody that, because there is a big gray area and where we cross over in it is when somebody is diminished in one way or another, but eventually, as they succumb to environmental factors, they would fall into a state where a reasonable person would want to be found.
There you go. Yeah. Okay. I see what you're saying. Yes.
Versus,
I would agree with that.
Versus, we have had cases where, there was a case where found woman and she said, "Do I have to go back with you?" Like, no, I don't think you do. I mean, and she said, "I am of sound mind. I just don't want to be around my family anymore." And I'm sure during your limited exposure with them, you could fully appreciate that. And and I don't know exactly what to do here. I said, when I come out of the woods, they are going to know that I found something, and they are going to come in after you like the end of a Benny Hill show. So you might want to get a head start. But I have had people that didn't want to be found and were of sound mind and not under any duress. And then you cross over and you have runaways where they are of sound mind, but frankly, they just don't have the judgment. And just get your butt home now.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's much. There's so many layers to it. And do you ever see yourself going back and doing that?
Probably not. My wife and I have talked about it, and we're kind of the opinion that we've done our volunteer time in that area, and if we ever volunteer for something else, we'll try something different, just to be something different. Never would I expect of all the experience and the great times and sad times that we had there, but I'll do something else in life.
But how do you get it out of your system? And I'm asking, this is me personally asking you, how do you get it out of your blood?
Oh, the first year out was probably tough. But for me, I think probably where I was more able to ease out was I left the search and rescue, but I was still doing mission manager for another couple of years. And that was almost a full-time job.
Right.
So, in a sense, I was still involved, I guess.
Right.
I was still doing my part. But I just wasn't, doing it physically. I was doing it more electronically, I guess I would say. So that was kind of an ease out. But, being out for a little while, it gives you a different perspective on things for sure. Loved the time there. Glad we did it. But I can't say that I miss it anymore.
Do you, when you're driving down the road and you see a person walking alone in an odd space, an elderly person or something, do you mentally note what they're wearing?
I would definitely say yes. Yes. And in fact, I think this was while I'm not sure whether we were still in or out at this time, but we were hiking up in the Sierra Nevada mountains, and we were actually hiking with one of the other people that was in search and rescue was a volunteer ranger up there, and we had stumbled upon an elderly man, and something just didn't look right about him, and we were kind of stopped and talking to him, and the gentleman who was the volunteer ranger, he and I talked about it, and we were like, something's not right. We got to get him back to the parking lot. So he was still in a ranger uniform, and we were just out hiking, and we brought him back. But that was the I have no doubt that he was either wandering himself out there to either put an end to his life, or he was so confused he didn't know where he was going. So that was just a personal hike we were out on, and just so happened to come upon somebody, and absolutely, you have a different perspective on things.
It's seeing people walking, it's seeing cars parked alone, as laid in the parking lot, and wondering. And there's been so many times that I've not on any mission or anything, and had a situation where something's been mitigated before it became an issue, just because of that level of awareness changing. And I've had that many a times, and I think that, this is search and rescue is one of those things. I really didn't find it. It kind of found me. It was kind of a mix, because I never knew about this, and I found out through other people. And once I got involved, it's this very odd mix of skill sets, and where you went all the way from, ropes and cliffs to programming, and all those things helping in their different ways. But once you can't unsee it, once you see it, you can't unsee the different facets of missing person incidents, and you're always you're always worried. I don't want to say you're paranoid or anything, but you do take notice of things that just stand out, and that's in all of emergency services. And you can't.
Absolutely.
There's no switch you can throw on that to just flip off once you've been doing it.
My wife is far better at this than I am, but we take our current dogs, we have 2 new puppies now, but we try to take the dogs out for a walk every morning, and we go to different trailheads around in the county, and my wife will be like, that car over there, that was there yesterday. So those types of things, I think they just become ingrained in you. If you were to do something else, what do you think you might do? Or are you done with volunteering? Because you put in a lot of hours. I'm not going to say that there won't be another volunteer in my future. Right now I'm enjoying the time with our new puppies that we got. My wife was a canine handler, so we had 3, 1 certified and then 2 in training dogs here in the house. We lost them all last year, 2 to cancer, 1 to old age. Oh. And that was a tough year for us. But we have 2 new puppies. Love spending time with my wife. I have the backhoe, so I'm always doing something in the yard, and so our life is pretty full, and I'm not looking to jump into something else volunteer wise right now. Maybe someday, but we'll see.
But that's when something finds you, That's when something finds you. Like a backhoe by the side of the road in boxes,
Exactly.
That's
you never know.
You never know. Well, anything you want to say, or anything you want to say in closing, or about search and rescue, your time in search and rescue? Shout out to the people you work with. If anybody from my old search and rescue, San Diego Sheriff Search and Rescue, hears this, I love the time with everybody. I wish them all well. For those that I'm still in contact with, I'll have lunch with you one of these days soon. It was a great experience, and I wish everybody well. Well, that's great.
And Mark, I want to thank you for pestering me to do this, because, like you said, I was a very reluctant interviewee.
Yeah. But what made you change your mind? What made you change? Because there was a switch that was thrown that was where you said, "I'll do it," because I was like, "Huh." He said yes.
Because you kept pestering me.
I didn't pester you that much. It's not like it was. You make it like I was standing at your hotel, just leaning on the bell at the counter. Ding, 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 ding.
No. It was.
I have a knack for timing, the right time to ask somebody. I seem to know, like, when somebody is weakest and will give in, and you're one of 3 people that I have not been able to get. So the other 2, their days are numbered.
Okay. So you can tell them about my experience, and you say, you know what, you're going to give in sooner or later.
Yeah. It goes back to the thing we talked about at the beginning about men's reluctance to go to the hospital, and how we have to be dragged. And the way I was, after years of going through stuff, the way the doctor finally got me to go in for surgery was the doctor drove out to my job, the head of medicine for this hospital, with his mother. And his mother was there to validate that he was a good doctor. And he came to my job, and he showed me film of me, and he said, you can either go to the hospital and have me, arguably one of the best people that can do this under your own terms, or you can end up in some place under random terms where on the other side of the building they work on animals. I don't like that animal part. And,
a doctor of veterinary medicine will be your surgeon. Take your pick, right?
Right. So I may be better, but I may have hoof and mouth when I'm done or something, But it is interesting.
Well, I will go back to what you asked, and that was there something that you said that convinced me to go ahead and do the call? And I think there probably was. When you said, if there's any experience that you have that you can share to help somebody else, then you owe that to them. And that may have hit me a little harder than anything. So I'll tell you that little line in your last email, I guess that worked.
And it doesn't work until you hit a certain age, too. You have to have so many trips around the sun. And I had another guy on who I asked him, I said, why'd you agree to do it? He said, because it's a different day. It's time. And there are so many people out there that don't have an idea of what these different jobs that I interview guests are, because they just think that everything's handled. And they don't realize that they can help with this. They can become involved in it. You didn't decide, when you were 12 that you were going to be a search and rescue guy and buy a fire truck. Well, you might have decided you were going to buy a fire truck. Everybody wants a fire truck. What year was the fire truck? What model? What make?
Oh, it was a Pierce 1985. It was a Chevrolet body. It was a 750-gallon tank, 750-gallon a minute pump. It was a regular old engine. I mean, the thing was a beast to drive, I will tell you. Never try to stop that thing quick on a hill with that thing full of water.
But when you own a fire truck, or when you collect any vehicle, and as they get larger, it becomes more, the people that collect fire trucks, and I know a couple people that have a couple of them, you have to become intimate with everything about it. You learn every detail of this thing. It's just this quest.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And it's not, a fire truck is not something that you can just have for fun. You have to lubricate the pump. You have to run it every once in a while. There's always something to fix on it. And even though I think the thing had it was 10,000, 12,000 miles on it, maybe a little more, but it was really low mileage. It was in great shape. But just having the thing and just having it sit, it just took so much work.
Yeah, it's amazing because people don't realize that most of your fire trucks used by volunteer companies have less mileage on them, and you can get a 10-year, 20-year-old truck that has less than 20,000 miles on it because they cover small run areas, and but they still require maintenance. And even with a car, if you get a 20-year-old car that has no miles on it, and you take it and drive it differently, things will fail differently, and it needs ongoing maintenance, and it's just a labor of love. And you can't park that fire truck in your driveway and not have it burn money just sitting there,
Exactly. Well, you're still paying for the insurance and the registration and all that sort of stuff as well, plus the maintenance. So, it's...
Did you ever do shows with it or anything? Did you ever take a
No. There was some people that were trying to get me to, can't you do a parade? Or how about kids' parties? And I'm like, no.
Well, you know what they're doing out here, and I thought it was blasphemy at first, and then I saw one done really well, is they're taking them and they're making them into barbecue trucks. And
I think I had seen some pictures of that on the web or something like that. People that had done that. Yeah,
the barbecue, and then the pump is used for beer. And
yeah, that would have killed me. That would have killed me to cut that truck up for a barbecue, though. It was a nice truck. It went to a good home, and